Hey everyone. The tragedy of Queen Latifah, born Dana Elaine Owens, is one of the most quietly heartbreaking stories in entertainment history. A journey filled with triumph, tragedy, love, loss, and survival that proves even those who seem strongest in the spotlight often carry the heaviest burdens behind closed doors. From her early days as a trailblazer in hip-hop to becoming one of Hollywood's most respected figures, Queen Latifah's life has been marked by resilience in the face of pain that would have broken most people. Her story begins in Newark, New Jersey, where she grew up in a working-class family that valued strength, education, and faith. Her mother, Rita Owens, was a schoolteacher, and her father, Lancelot, a police officer, both instilling in her a deep sense of discipline and purpose. But even as a child, Dana was different. Confident, outspoken, and fearless. In a male-dominated culture that often silenced women, she demanded to be heard. At just 19 years old, she exploded onto the rap scene with her debut album All Hail the Queen, a bold and revolutionary project that gave voice to Black women at a time when hip-hop was mostly defined by male bravado and misogyny. She wasn't rapping about money or violence. She was talking about empowerment, respect, and unity, with songs like Ladies First becoming anthems of pride and self-worth. Queen Latifah wasn't just an artist, she was a movement. But behind the crown and confidence, there was pain that few ever saw. Early in her career, Latifah faced the murder of her older brother Lancelot Jr., a tragedy that shattered her world. He was her best friend, her protector, and the person she admired most. In 1992, he died in a motorcycle accident, on a bike Latifah had gifted him. That loss haunted her for years, plunging her into deep depression and guilt. She later admitted that she couldn't even listen to music for months afterward. "I couldn't understand why God would take him," she once said. "I felt like a piece of me died that day." The pain pushed her into a dark place where fame became both a distraction and a trap. She threw herself into work, producing films, making more music, and building an empire. But the grief followed her everywhere. To cope, she began using alcohol and, for a period, drugs, numbing herself from the emotions she couldn't escape. Even at the height of her success, when she was starring in films like Set It Off and Living Single, Latifah was suffering in silence. In 1995, her life took another devastating turn when she was carjacked at gunpoint in Harlem. Her friend and bodyguard, Sean Moon, was shot and nearly killed in the incident. The trauma of that night added another layer of fear and emotional turmoil. "It made me look over my shoulder," she later confessed. "It made me question who I could trust." But she refused to be broken. She poured her pain into her art, producing some of her most powerful performances, including her groundbreaking role in Set It Off, where she played Cleo, a tough, unapologetic woman whose death scene became one of the most memorable in 90s cinema. The rawness of that performance wasn't just acting, it was her grief spilling out on screen. But Latifah's battles didn't end there. Behind the fame, she was also navigating the intense scrutiny over her private life. For decades, tabloids and fans speculated endlessly about her sexuality, demanding she come out publicly, even though she repeatedly stated that her personal life was not for public consumption. In a world that often punishes women, especially Black women, for defying norms, she chose privacy as an act of rebellion. "You don't get to define me," she once said. "I define myself." Still, that choice came with a price. She endured years of gossip, judgment, and coded discrimination in an industry that rarely showed grace to those who didn't fit neatly into its expectations. Yet through it all, she never lost her integrity or her sense of humor. Queen Latifah made history again when she starred in Chicago, earning an Academy Award nomination for her role as matron Mama Morton. The performance marked her full transformation, from rapper to respected actress, from hip-hop pioneer to Hollywood icon. But just as she seemed to be entering a new era of success, tragedy struck again. Her beloved mother, Rita Owens, began battling a chronic heart condition that would ultimately claim her life in 2018. For years, Latifah became her mother's primary caregiver, balancing fame with the quiet pain of watching the woman who raised her slowly fade away. In interviews, she spoke about sleeping beside her mother to make sure she could breathe through the night, saying, "I didn't want to lose her the way I lost my brother." Suddenly, when Rita finally passed, Latifah was inconsolable. "I don't know how to live without her," she said through tears during an award acceptance speech. "She was my strength, my biggest fan, my everything." After her mother's death, Latifah retreated from the spotlight for a while, spending time with her family and reflecting on everything she had lost. In the quiet moments away from cameras, she began confronting her loneliness, the cost of being strong for everyone else while silently falling apart inside. For decades, she'd been the image of confidence and control, but the truth was far more complicated. She had survived trauma, loss, addiction, heartbreak, and fame. But she had also built walls so high that few could truly reach her. Friends described her as generous but guarded, a woman who could light up a room but often preferred solitude. "She carries her pain like a queen," one insider said. "You can see it in her eyes, even when she smiles." Even her romantic life remained shrouded in mystery. While she has reportedly been in a long-term relationship and quietly welcomed a child, Latifah has always chosen to protect her loved ones from public scrutiny. For someone who spent her entire career empowering others to be themselves, she has often been forced to defend her right to privacy. That balance, between being an icon of authenticity and a woman longing for peace, is the heart of her tragedy. Yet through every loss, every headline, every scar, Queen Latifah continues to rise. She returned to television with The Equalizer, where she plays a protector of the vulnerable, a role that mirrors her real life. She's built a production company that uplifts women of color, launched scholarships in her mother's honor, and used her voice to advocate for equality and mental health awareness. But if you listen closely to her interviews, there's still a melancholy that lingers beneath her strength. "You never stop missing the people you've lost," she once said. "You just learn to carry them with you." And that's the quiet heartbreak of Queen Latifah's life. She's given the world empowerment, laughter, and inspiration. Yet beneath her crown is a heart that has endured unbearable pain. Her smile hides years of grief. Her confidence masks old wounds, and her strength was born from survival, not ease. She is a woman who has conquered industries, challenged stereotypes, and broken barriers, yet her greatest victories came from simply enduring the losses life threw at her. Her tragedy is not one of failure, it's one of resilience. Because Queen Latifah, the woman who told a generation of women to keep their heads up and love themselves, has spent her life doing just that, loving herself through grief, through trauma, through heartbreak, and through the heavy, invisible weight of being strong for everyone else. And even though her story is filled with sorrow, it's also a testament to unbreakable spirit, the kind that reminds the world that queens don't escape pain. They endure it with grace and still find a way to keep shining through the darkness. Thanks for watching.